Hello, everybody. Sorry, I'm having some technical difficulties. How is everybody? I'm slowly working in some new technology with this channel. Um, Obviously, right here, I'm working from a cellular device, but I have a laptop set up over here and some external cameras and whatnot that I'm trying to get to work, and I'm having problems um, kind of getting some of this to get to where I need it. First, I'm gonna try something here. I don't know if anyway. Y'all bear with me for just a minute. Yeah, here we go. Okay, sorry about that. Rogelio, how are you? Uh, so good to see you, Brian. As well. Good to see you, sir. I hope y'all had a wonderful day today. Wasn't Mike's live stream earlier just super exciting? I really get into his work because he gets so excited, and I get excited when he gets excited. So I appreciate his enthusiasm for aerospace and aviation. So um, very much so. I'm gonna do something real fast. Y'all bear with me. In fact, I'm gonna just turn the camera off for just a minute. I'm gonna relocate this camera. I'm gonna keep the audio on so you can follow me. Don't think that I completely just left you. I'm gonna try to get this around in front of me where I can see better at what I'm doing. And I'm gonna try to use this laptop to let's see if this works. We may have to readjust or whatever. But anyway, um, hopefully that works out a little bit better. And I can see your comments better on the screen than looking like a fool trying to stare at my phone. So anyway, I hope everyone is doing well. Um, Brian is here. Raheo is here. So awesome. I appreciate y'all tuning in after spending some time with Mike. And I wanted to give Mike some time. I do not want to encroach on anyone's time that I support either. So I don't want to do a live stream at the same time, or I certainly try not to do a live stream at the same time that Mike does. So that way, um, I'm respectful, and plus, I like to watch his as well. So anyway, how's my trip to space? Yeah. Well, it hasn't happened yet, but and I really wished it would. But I think at this point, um, it's most decidedly not going to ever happen for me. But I hope to inspire someone to follow that path in their life. Yeah, you're right, Brian. It's trial and error with this. I don't know if you can. Well, I guess you can see a little bit of my laptop right here, but I've got a desk here with my laptop, and I've got some external camera. I hope to get multiple camera views in the future. I really like that. I've got also some lights that I have not even got really working yet. They are working, but not working the way I'd like them to work. So, and also, I'm not an audio guy, so sometimes working on some of this stuff is frustrating to me, to say the least. So, anyway, sorry for all the craziness. This will get better. It's just a lot of things for me to learn, which is not bad. I enjoy learning. So, anyway, let's talk about rockets. Yeah, let's talk about rockets. Um, I certainly have never flown into space, but I have launched many, many rockets. If I was to estimate how many times I've launched rockets, wow, probably in the thousands. Um, and the reason for that is I have always been a amateur rocketeer, so to speak, and have built uh, my own rockets, and certainly when I was younger, built model rockets. So I've always had rockets in my possession. So, Ruha, you ask, so rockets have an oxidizer? Yes. So, in order to ignite a rocket motor, you have to have two things, really three things. You have to have an ignition source, an igniter of some sort, but the fuel has to have an oxidizer. So, here on Earth, we also have to have an oxidizer for jet engines and stuff of that nature. But the atmosphere with oxygen provides that oxidizer. However, in space, in a vacuum, there is no oxidizer, there is no air to breathe. So, rocket engines have to have their own. However, even here on Earth, when we use rocket engines, we still provide the oxidizer because it gives us more control. So, anyway, a lot of oxidizers used, hydrogen peroxide, liquid hydrogen. There's a bunch that are used, and they make up a certain formula, if you will, for a particular type of rocket engine. Model rocket engines are simply one of two ways. They're either black powder, so they use gunpowder in the atmosphere as the oxidizer, but more mid power and high powered rocket motors use a composite rocket fuel, so to speak. It's all liquid, or excuse me, all solid propellants. So most things that are um, large these days, SpaceX, NASA, are all using liquid propellant rockets, which on a hobby standpoint, on a hobby level, is extremely difficult, if near impossible. I think there are some people that have scaled down the liquid propellant rocket quite a bit to where they could use it for a hobby size rockets. But you see a lot of hybrid rockets these days too, which is essentially will burn a solid fuel but have a liquid or gaseous oxidizer. And some of these use like nitrous oxide is one that is commonly used to provide that oxidizer. Bruce Willis. I'm gonna take that as a compliment. That's funny. Yeah, could quite possibly be. Uh, that's funny. I've never been referred to as Bruce Willis, but I could certainly see that. So that's funny. Anyway, let's see. Let me get caught up on turbo pumps. Yeah, turbo pumps are required for liquid propellant rockets because of the amount of fuel that is required, and it's such a high rate, such a high pressure. So, as the name implies, they appear and resemble a turbocharger and are spun. Usually, they're spun by another gas like helium, whatnot, to provide the fuel to the liquid propellant rocket. Turbo pumps are really fascinating. In fact, if you look at a rocket engine, one day I'll be able to pull up pictures so you can see these. But if you look at the exterior uh, of a liquid propellant rocket engine, the majority of what you're looking at, besides the nozzle, is actually the fuel system, the turbo pumps, because there's typically two pumps, one for the oxidizer, one for the fuel. And so all these tubing and lines that run from these turbo pumps, and then you got the helium tank providing power to the turbo pump. So there's a lot going on right there just for the fuel alone. So because of that, rocket engines look and are, in some cases, very complex because of those. If I had the chance uh, to go to space, would I? Absolutely, absolutely. I'd do it in a heartbeat. I think it's one of those opportunities that you have to jump on. So yeah, I would love to go to space. Never been close, never been close, but certainly would love to. Since we've started off our discussion about rockets, let me show y'all one. You notice that this one sitting over here is not sitting there. And it's because it's actually right here in front of me. So y'all seen the, this is the bottom half of the 1/3 scale Nike Smoke. The real Nike Smoke, and hence the name Smoke, was built in the early days of space flight or space exploration, so to speak. But this one was actually designed to study the upper layers of the atmosphere. And so in the nose cone, the real one, they had these little openings here. There's 3 of them. And it would release smoke as the rocket got way up high and could be seen from the ground. And so what they would study is like wind shear. They could see the smoke drifting and then would have a flight area, and that's wind shear. So they were studying the atmosphere at very high levels. So this rocket together is about 3 feet tall. I'm just estimating these because I don't have a tape measure on me real fast. But anyway, very sharp pointed nose, as you can see. And this one has a parachute recovery system. So here on the nose cone, we have a carabiner. This is the lines for the parachute. It has a 36-inch diameter parachute, which is a ripstop nylon. And then we have our shock cord, which is the larger cord here. This shock cord is what attaches the rocket nose cone to the rocket body tube or fuselage and keeps it all together in one piece. So the motor on this is pretty simple. You have this back piece that this is a motor retainer, and the motor simply slides in, and then you screw this back on. Very simple, nothing too exotic. Some, as rockets get larger, just like real ones, they get more complicated and certainly more interesting in some ways. But there's also, the more complicated something is, the more risk there is involved in a failure or something going wrong. So you have to be careful with how big you get and how you design and build it. So the crew module, I guess, are you asking about this piece right here, Rogelio? This is simply just a nose cone. It's hollow. There's nothing in it. However, if you wanted to, you could modify this to carry a payload as long as you stay within the balance of the rocket between the center of gravity and the center of pressure. That might be a subject we could talk about a little later too. Mars and what would be next? That's a tough decision. I think we're kind of limited. There's a reason we chosen Mars, because Mars offers an environment that is most likely inhabitable by human beings. The temperature, the pressure, the gravity is all different than what we have here on Earth, but fortunately it's close enough to where we can make it work for us. And it's kind of backwards from Earth. Here we have mostly oxygen and nitrogen atmosphere, and then on Mars we have the opposite of that, which is carbon dioxide. So I think they're working on ways to where we can use carbon dioxide to essentially invert that, produce oxygen. So it's going to be very interesting. I think if we weren't going to Mars, I really don't know if there's another place we could go, Brian, because Venus is very hostile. The pressure alone is not survivable. The pressure there is far beyond the human body can withstand. So if we didn't do Mars, I don't know. Mercury would be too hot. Would be very, way too close to the sun. Venus is too much pressure, and because of the pressure in the dense atmosphere, it's also very hot. So I really don't know. I really don't know if there is an alternative. We certainly can't go to Jupiter and Saturn because they're simply gas. They're the gas giants. There's not really a surface that we know of, and plus, again, the pressure and temperature is extremely out of range for the human body. So I think Mars is probably all we have to, or really maybe our only alternative to Earth. Any leakage? Um, I guess leakage of what, Rodeo? Are we talking about like the cabin of the spacecraft leaking, like leaking oxygen? Or are we talking about a fuel cell? Are we talking about a fuel tank or an engine combustion chamber? Um, I guess I can hit on all of them. If there's a leak in the cabin, and that's happened before, I think it happened to a Soyuz mission with Russia, where they had a leak. I don't think that turned out very well for that cosmonaut. I think it depends on how big it is and where it is, and there's a lot of varying factors in that. Anytime you have a leak in a sealed off environment, you have to look at differential pressure. So, what's the pressure in space? Well, there is no pressure; it's a vacuum. So it puts a lot of, you know if you look at the pressure inside the cabin, then if there's a vacuum on the outside of the cabin, then it's going to want to pull that out. So the spacecraft is under a lot of stress, even under normal conditions. So a small leak could become something very large. Another example is with an airplane above 10,000 feet. We're pressurized. The cockpit of the cabin of the aircraft is pressurized. The smallest little hole can cause a catastrophic failure of the structure. And this has happened before in the past too, where the airplane has been ripped apart because of rapid decompression. And unfortunately, that will involve in people losing consciousness. And if pressurization cannot be fixed, which obviously it can if the plane has suffered a catastrophic failure. But there was a plane one time back in the 80s. I think it was Hawaiian Airlines, if I'm not mistaken, lost the whole top of the fuselage of an airliner. And I think it was maybe a 737, something like that. But in that case, they survived because they put their mask on. And so I don't think anyone actually died from that accident. So that was really good. Right. Yeah. Yeah. Jupiter is nothing. It's just a big hydrogen ball. It really is. There's nothing there. So yeah, fuel tank was different, a little bit different. If you have a leak in a fuel tank, you have a possibility of a couple things happening. One, if the fuel leaks in the wrong area, it could become ignited, and at that point, I think you're going to have just a structure. It's not going to be any longer. It's going to explode. If it's a leak where it's not ignited, then you're going to lose pressure. And once you lose pressure, most rockets have sensors that will shut down that engine or motor when it senses the pressure loss. So it's going to be one of those two things there is going to happen. Hey, CB, good to see you here. Thanks for stopping in. I know all of y'all have been busy with the other channels tonight, so I appreciate y'all taking the time to join in with me. I try to space my time away from others streaming, so I don't step on other people's time, so to speak. Anyway, detection systems. Well, that falls back into the sensor. So the sensor that monitors fuel pressure will also enunciate an indication that there has been a failure. Now, it may not tell you exactly what the failure is. It won't say that the forward bulkhead has become fractured, but it will certainly indicate that a pressure has dropped. And so, if the pressure's dropped, let's look at it this way: if we have a low pressure indication, what could trigger that? One, a leak, which we talked about just a few minutes ago. Another thing is that the pump is failing. So if the turbo pump is failing, um, we might have some abnormal pressures as well. But tank pressure being before and ahead of the pump, I think would pretty much indicate that the tank itself has failed. So I remember a couple of test reports reading that I read about the Saturn V when they this is before the Saturn became a manned was man rated, so they were still doing test flights. So prior to Apollo 8, um, but some of these were well certainly before Apollo 8. Apollo 8 was the first to actually leave Earth and go to the moon. So uh, anyway, I'm tired tonight, but the Saturn V was such a violent vehicle at first. In fact, um, man could not even ride in the Saturn V originally before they started putting these massive shock absorbers on the motors to calm down the the vibrations. So it within those vibrations, they had structural failures of the fuel systems and lines and tanks and stuff. So it was interesting how they figured out how to fix that. It's pretty neat. What really happened to the Columbia? Yeah, the Columbia was a very sad day. I was a part of the Civil Air Patrol during that particular time as a senior member, and Civil Air Patrol was dispatched to recover what they could of the Columbia out in Texas. Now, I had no part in that. Just I was part of the organization. So through that, I got to hear a lot of people discuss and talk about it and whatnot. Um, Columbia, unfortunately, was struck the bottom of the left wing. Actually, the leading edge and bottom of the left wing was struck by foam that came from the external tank, so which is the large orange tank. Now, that foam is very dense, but it's very light. However, if something strikes something at an extremely high rate of speed, it really doesn't matter what it's made of, it's going to penetrate. In the area that it penetrated, the Columbia's left wing was also a part of the leading edge, and it's made of carbon carbon, which is it's very tough when dealing with temperature. It's meant to withstand the heat of reentry, but it's not very tough structurally. So the foam impacted the wing and essentially made a hole in it. So during the reentry process, Columbia's internal structure was exposed to the high temperatures of reentry, and from that point, it was a not a total catastrophic failure of the vehicle immediately, but as it re-entered, as time passed during re-entry, um, they started seeing sensors drop off. One of the first sensors I think that failed was they saw that the left main landing gear had a low pressure, or they lost tire pressure. But that's because heat had already got to the tire. So heat had entered that left wing. I think eventually the left wing came off, and then that caused a roll of the vehicle, and I think the cargo bay doors were next, and from there it just kind of continued until the vehicle had a complete breakup. But essentially, the main cause of the Columbia disaster was that high temperature heat did break through the heat shield into the internal structure. And from that, and aerodynamic forces too. Let's not forget about aerodynamic forces. When you have a hole, even a small hole in a structure, and you're traveling well over the speed of sound, eventually that structure is going to come apart as well. So heat and speed essentially just it took the vehicle out. It tore it apart, unfortunately. Yeah, it was such a bad day, really. As Rahil is mentioning, um, Kapana. I hope I pronounced her name right. If not, please correct me, Rahil. I certainly don't want to disrespect her name. But first Indian astronaut, um, and truly talented young lady, lost her life on the Columbia along with the other six, her fellow six astronauts. So yeah, that orange tank. Let me back up. Brian's asking, do you think NASA will replace the ISS if they retire? I don't think NASA's. I think NASA's focus now is on the moon. They've already indicated that. I think Artemis 3, or excuse me, Artemis 4, I believe. So Artemis 2 is right now on its way to the moon. It's in day 3. Should get there sometime tomorrow or early the next day. It's going to do a free trajectory return, which means it will use use the gravity of the moon to slingshot it around and back to Earth. They're not going to continue to orbit the moon. They're just going to go use that gravity to pull them around and slingshot them back to Earth. Artemis 3 is going to make the first lunar landing. Artemis 4 is going to begin the process of establishing a moon base. So I think at that point, the ISS is kind of no longer the focal point, and I think the ISS has already been written off. It's a great ship. She's been up there for many years, 30 years, I think now. But the plan, I think, is that eventually the ISS will burn up in the atmosphere and come back to Earth in pieces. But similar to Skylab, I I don't remember Skylab all that much because I was very young. In fact, I think most of that happened before I was born. But Skylab did the same thing. It's too big to bring it down in one piece, so they just let it fall. And there's actually a piece of the Skylab, one of the Skylabs, on display at the Space and Rocket Center in Huntsville. A piece that did make it all the way to the ground at Earth, and someone found it and turned it in. So it's part of the museum now. So yeah, I think the ISS is kind of it's been great. It's done so many marvelous things for research and exploration, but it's also at the time it's over and it's done. So I think the next step for NASA would be the moon base. Yeah, the orange tanks of the space shuttle, it's one of those things that foam has came off many times. It wasn't seen as a problem. Maybe we just didn't fully understand uh, the scenario, but it's come off a couple of times. And then after Columbia, they they did a maneuver in space, so the shuttle would do a pitch maneuver and roll over on its back, and so the space station would be here, and they would have astronauts uh, check the bottom of the orbiter before each reentry. So it got kind of more concerning as it got later in the program, but certainly after Columbia, it was definitely something that they would check before they re-enter the Earth's atmosphere. Are y'all hearing me okay? I'm still trying to get everything set up to where it works right, and um, sometimes I think that the mic doesn't work all that great, and or the lights are too dim. And I'm still trying to figure out some of this stuff. Hey, I hope that answered your question regarding the shuttle and rockets in general. Anybody else have a question? Please let me know. Be glad to answer the best I can. And if I don't have the answer, I will certainly find you the answer. Yeah, you're right, Rahel. Rockets are extremely dangerous, even small rockets. You have to be really careful around them. There's been a lot of people hurt. There's been some pad accidents where the rocket hadn't even left the ground yet. There was one way back in the 60s in Russia. It was the Soviet Union then, but they had a rocket unfortunately explode because of a fuel leak. And I think like 40 something people lost their lives that day because of that. So you have to really have to understand the dangers of it and be very careful. Even with rockets, the size of this one, um, this is nothing in comparison. But even these, you have to be really careful with. You can certainly get hurt, or you can damage people's property. So um, the 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 risk is certainly smaller with smaller rockets, but it's still there. You still have to pay attention on what you're doing. So is her? Let me. I've always you're the you're. I hope you can give me this opportunity because I've often wondered. Um, is her last name pronounced Chala? Is that correct? Because I've often wondered about her name. But yeah, wow. Columbia still kind of hits hard at home. I remember watching it come in that day, and when they started calling for a UHF com check, to I think the majority of people out there were thinking, okay, they're just trying to make sure that they're hearing them. As a pilot, as someone who's flown quite a bit and understands aviation and whatnot, and more than anything, someone who studies, I read everything I can get my hands on about space flight. But when I heard those words, Columbia, Houston, UHF Comcheck, my heart sank. I knew right then that something was not right, and then the videos, people were seeing the streak across the sky over Texas, and I think right then I knew what had happened, and very sad day. But Columbia, the crew of Columbia, the crew of Challenger, crew of Apollo 1, um, they'll never be forgotten. And I think, like Gus Grissom said, happy birthday, Gus, by the way, he would have been 100 years old today if he was still with us. But Gus was one of the astronauts that died as a result of Apollo 1 fire. And he even stated that, they understand the business they're in, the risks they take, and they're willing to take those risks. And it's best that if someone does die, that the program continues. And these people certainly take a risk for humanity and sense of exploring, but it doesn't make it any easier when we do lose them. and truly some of the greatest minds on the planet Earth are some of these people. You know, there's brilliant engineers and scientists, and um, it's very sad. It's always very sad. And I remember uh, every year when it comes around to January and February, I remember Apollo 1 and Challenger in Columbia. I literally take a moment out of my day to just kind of think about those people. It's very sad. We have to continue to remember them. We really do. I did not know that, Royal. I'm so sorry. I did not realize that. Yeah. So I believe they refer to her as Sunny. They call her Sunny. That's fabulous. Yeah, that's one thing that's really truly great about space uh, or aerospace is it's such a diverse group of people. I remember working at Delta Airlines many years ago and feeling very proud the fact that Delta Airlines was such a diverse company and they truly appreciated and um, had a place for everyone. And I worked with people um, from all over the world. Even though I was working in Atlanta, Georgia, I worked with people all over the world who were in Atlanta, Georgia, and I got to meet some fabulous people. I had a great friend. I've lost touch with him over the years, but had a great fan from India. His name was Kazam. Uh, he made me laugh so hard. He was probably one of the funniest people I've ever met in my life. Truly a great person. But I think you'll find that in every place of aerospace, no matter what company it is. There's just a huge, just overwhelming, love of the diversity of people because people have so many talents. If you're no matter where you're from, you have a purpose and you have a perspective that maybe I won't see or understand, but you bring that to the table and better the entire organization. And I think that's what hinders a lot of companies today is not accepting of that. You're not accepting of people's culture and uh, their different views and different ideas. And I think that if it doesn't matter what kind of company you have, and if there's business owners out there listening to this, please, and I don't have a business degree, but please listen to this. If you can do anything with your company, the first thing is realize that your greatest asset is the people that work for you. The second thing is accepting the diversity that those people may bring to the company, to the organization. Take the time to listen to them. You will learn so much more by inclusion of all the diverse people in your company. It's truly imperative to be successful too. Okay, so she was born in India, but educated in the United States. Okay, and it got her citizenship. Wow. Yeah, I'm gonna have to read up on Sunny. I did not realize that. Wow, very cool. Thank you for sharing that. You taught me something today. That's fabulous. It looks like it might be just you and I, Rayo. So the floor is completely yours. Ask me anything you like. I'm going to try to get more creative with these live streams. Maybe have I tried it. I've learned today that doing a live stream um, via your cell phone and versus doing it via a computer is completely different. Um, but I like the way the computer does it better because it makes it look more professional. You can have you can schedule it. You can have a thumbnail, so to speak, showing. It will alert people ahead of time that you're going to do it. So I think it's certainly more organized than just sitting down with your phone. I just got to get better at it. I got to get educated on the process of doing it and doing it better. I attempted today, and I know some of y'all chimed in on that, and then I ended up dropping it because I don't think I was having any computer problems really. I think I was having more me problems trying to figure it out. But we're gonna do that. Okay, Brian, you're still there. Okay, interesting. See, this is where technology is failing me because I sit here and tap on this. Okay, so now it's got you, Brian. For some reason, it shows not accurate information. So I'm gonna learn to over time what to trust and what not to trust. But anyway, have I met uh, Indian American astronauts? I have not. I have gotten to meet several astronauts over the years. All of them. Um, well, I'm not going to mention the name, but I will say one of them that I met, I was not too happy with. I was involved in a group conversation with this one particular astronaut, American astronaut, and I was really disappointed in the arrogance and him not wanting to listen to the questions that the children were asking. And that really bothered me because I think if you're an astronaut, you're like a celebrity to kids who want to be an astronaut. And so during the talk, he kind of just ignored a lot of the children and was uh, more interested in speaking about his own accomplishments and how great he was. Now, I respect all astronauts. It's that what they have achieved is certainly extraordinary. But I think you have to put yourself in a different perspective. It's not about what you are or what you have become or what you've done, but help the next generation achieve that. Let's be humble. Let's be humble. Be proud of what you've accomplished. Absolutely, absolutely. But let's be humble and look at those that have not accomplished that and how you can help them. And the first thing you can do to help them is listen to them. Listen to them and answer their questions. And so that one particular astronaut really disappointed me. I was disappointed. And I had another chance to see that same astronaut a couple of years later, and I honestly, I just decided not to. But other than that, the rest that I have met have been absolutely wonderful people. And I think the Artemis crew that's up there right now, Artemis 2 crew, is great people. They're very humbled by their experiences and they're willing to share and talk to people. And I think they've done a great job. Michael Collins, interesting. I thought Michael Collins was still alive. I could be wrong. Could be wrong. No, no. I take that back. Uh, Buzz definitely is still with us. Thank goodness. Good old Buzz. Let me see. Let me see if I can, off the top of my head, Raheel, I really don't know what sickness, but I can try to find out. Bear with me. I'm trying. Yes, you're right. April the 28th, 2021. I don't know if it's going to say the actual cause, but according to the internet, which may or may not be correct, it does not say. It just states that. Oh no, it does say. I'm sorry. He died of cancer. So Michael Collins, April the 28th, 2021, died of cancer at his home in Naples, Florida. He was 90 years old. So Michael was one of those humble astronauts. I think he was truly appreciative of what opportunities were given to him. Some of the videos I've watched of him just says a lot about him, him as a person, his character. Yeah, Brian, space is certainly the final frontier. Makes you wonder what's outside there. We certainly want to explore all of space. It's expanding faster than we can travel, but makes you wonder what's next. Patch behind me. Oh, you got good eyes. This is this is it right here. I've got several patches of space program, specifically the space shuttle. But this one is, I believe, STS-39. And the reason I like this one out of all the rest of them is the detail of this patch truly amazes me. Um, I think that's why I like it so much. If you look at it with the shuttle and everything, is just highly detailed. And to imagine this is done by thread. This patch is as old as the mission. If you look on the back, there's two types of patches. There's the patches that were actually given to the crews and friends and family, and then there's the patches that are made for commercial sale. The ones that are commercial sale typically have a white backing on them, almost like a not really plastic, but it does have a solid backing on them. If you see one like this where there's nothing on the back, you can actually see the threads through. This is one that actually was given to friends and family. So I know the next question is, how in the world did I get this? All the patches I have were given to me by a NASA employee during that time. So these were the ones that were actually presented to employees if they so wanted one. And so my good friend Ralph sent these to me all the time when I was a kid, and I've held on to them all those years. So yeah, this is one of my favorite patches. Yeah, Rogelio, I mean, astronauts should be more. Well, I'm not going to say should be because the 99.999% of them are completely dedicated to uh, promoting space travel and inspiring younger generations. They truly are. But there's always that one. No matter what kind of group of people you have, uh, or what you're talking about, or what you're involved in, there's always that one person, that one bad apple. And I'm certainly never going to say this person's name. I don't think it's that deserving to dishonor them, so to speak. But I was very disappointed because you're right. They should be focused on inspiring the next generation, and I could see it in the look of those children's face. They were more disappointed than I was. I think I was more in shock that he acted that way. But there's certainly more great people out there. Hey, Mark, good to see you. Thanks for stopping in. You've been a busy one today too, hanging out with Mike and everything. And I know you've had a wedding, and so you're just out of Easter service. Yeah, so busy times for you. Thank you for taking the time to step into the window here, or step into the room of Aerospace with me, and we're just having honestly, we're just having a free form conversation. We've been talking about rockets. I showed off my Nike Smoke a little while ago. We've been talking about the shuttle Columbia and that horrible incident, which we lost the Columbia's crew. But and we've been talking about a patch here. I think you may have seen that one. Talking about this patch over my shoulder. Yeah, I really get into these YouTube communities. Never in my life would I feel like while sitting in front of a camera that I would actually feel like I'm sitting in a room full of friends. And I say that wholeheartedly. I've met some really great people. Y'all are among that group, certainly. Where I feel like I really thought this was going to be hard for me. I've spoken and presented in front of people before in libraries and schools, stuff like that, and that's not that difficult for me. I enjoy speaking to people, but when I started thinking about through YouTube, I'm always going to be speaking through a camera, and I used to feel like I remember the first time I was really uncomfortable because I felt like I was just talking to myself, but because of all of you great people, I literally feel like I'm sitting in a room full of friends, and that's that's a lot of fun. I enjoy that. I enjoy this more than y'all realize. So, Rahul, this patch would have been given by. So, in other words, this patch is just for that one mission, and so the crew would have certainly had that patch, but they also gave it out to employees. Uh, my good friend who was a NASA employee during that time was involved in the shuttle program. More specifically, he was involved with the orbiter Columbia, and so he was able to get it from NASA, and then he in turn gave it to me. So I've got several patches. I have to share some of my memorabilia in a live stream one day and explain so talk about some of the things that he was kind enough to pass down to me. My computer's acting a little bit crazy. Thank you, Brian. That means a lot because I want this to be educational. My goal is to make sure that uh, hopefully that every time you read something on my channel with via a post or you tune into a live stream, I hope you learn something, and hopefully you'll share that with somebody, and then that person will share it with somebody, and it goes on and on and on. I certainly hope that everyone has an opportunity to learn here and ask the question. So to me, it's all about educating. I've been very fortunate. Like I've said before, I've not done nor have I accomplished anything in my life on my own. I have been certainly blessed to have been in the right place at the right time with some very, very good people who have allowed me to do things that I could only dream of. Everything from flying airplanes to building rockets to working at an airline to working at a charter airline, uh, to pumping fuel. You know, my first job was working at a small airport. That man who started it all for me, who allowed me to cut grass at his airport in exchange for flying lessons. If that man had not have been open to that idea, I would have never got to fly. Stuff like that. You know, these people, they have created opportunities for me, have truly blessed me. And unfortunately, I just had a bug fly in on me. You know, unfortunately, some of these people are no longer with me. Uh, they've passed away, and I hope they understand how much they changed me as a person, how much they impacted my life. Because some of these people I didn't get a chance to really tell. I was still very young, and I think when I was young, I thought life, never came to an end. You know, it seemed like you'll have everyone for everybody and for any length of time. And um, the person that allowed me to cut the grass at his airport in exchange for flying lessons, um, his name was Dodgy, and amazing pilot, amazing mentor. Um, but he died in a plane crash, unfortunately, and I think I was probably 19 when he passed away. But I never did get the chance to really tell him. Um, One of my flight instructors, um, after him, uh, I did get the opportunity. Um, I came to his house one day to talk, and that's all the only purpose I had in that discussion was to let him know how much I appreciated his time and effort in me as a young man, because he was just fantastic. But if you got people out there in your life that are like that, have done great things for you, don't wait. Tell them now, because you just never know what's going to happen. You have to you have to remember these people that do so much. Oh wow, Rahel! No, I did not know that. I'm gonna have to. I need to start having a notepad. Like to. I'd like to read about this scientist. Yeah, Rahel, I appreciate you. Thank you. This channel would be nothing without y'all. I'm simply just a communicator. This channel will go nowhere without each and every one of you. And I'm not expecting to make money from this. If I did, someone asked me at work. Someone asked me at work the other day, what are you going to do if you end up making some money? Certainly going to put it right back into the channel, with museum trips, or uh, better equipment. Um, I would like to expand on this. I would like to do some. I would love to one day, if it ever got to that size, which I want to be optimistic, but I also don't want to shoot myself in the foot. But I would love to do more public presentations as well, and maybe meet some of y'all in person. And that would take some traveling and some organizing and stuff like that. But I really want to continue to grow this as best I can. And and the growth has happened quicker, I think, than I really expected. Getting to the first 50 was a little tough, but again, you're not well known, and so you're doing the best you can. But it takes time for people to notice you and whatnot. And fortunately, I was blessed to know DC Mike, and he really pulled for me, and prompted people to come check out the channel, and that's where I met a lot of y'all. And it's growing from there. And I think as of today, I'm at 76 subscribers, which is pretty nice. So I gained six in a week. I think that's relatively significant. You know, six people in a week, and that's great. I really would, you know, like to see it grow more. But again, my focus is not on money or number of views or how many subscribers. My focus is teaching people about aerospace. So that's what I want to do. I want to spread the word and spread it to as many people as I can. More specifically, to people that are maybe in countries that don't have a big aerospace presence. They may not have a a space program or a civil large amount of civil aviation. And I think as an American, and I'm gonna pull the rug out from under my own feet here. I think as an American, we don't really understand just how blessed we are. We have companies like Boeing, Lockheed, we have Northrop Grumman, we have NASA, we have all these organizations, SpaceX. Um, we have all this to at our fingertips, and there's people out there, and I got the chance to speak to a young man from Croatia over YouTube, and he wants to be an astronaut, but you know it's not that easy in some countries. It's not that easy to learn about certain things, to become educated about certain things. And so I really want to be that gateway. You know, if there's someone in a country that doesn't have a space program, but there's someone there that's interested in space, then I want to be able to teach them as much as I can. Maybe even teach them about how they can make that path. Will it be easy? Certainly not. You know, you have to find a way, and maybe that way is coming to the United States, getting a degree here in the United States, and becoming a pilot, and then applying to NASA. But it's certainly within one's reach. So I think as an American, it's easy for us to kind of miss the big picture. You know, we're truly blessed, and I get really upset with people when they don't respect our country and what is available to us so easily, really. Where there's other people in other countries that would love to have the same opportunities, and we don't understand that. So I think it's really important that we have to really dial it back. There's nothing wrong with being a proud American, but we have to realize that we're very blessed. We are very, very blessed, and we should be appreciative of that. So, thank you, Real. Yeah, Dodgy was a great guy. I'll have to share that full story with y'all about meeting him and him deciding to let me cut his grass. He was a fabulous pilot, fabulous friend. He was like a grandfather to me, and I miss him. I really do. I really do. Him and his wife both. They were like grandparents. Good people. You know, you're as only as good as the people you surround yourself in. So if you're one of those that surround yourself in poor company, then you're not going to achieve too much. But if you choose to surround yourself with great people, first you got to make sure you got to validate them. Make sure they're truly great people, because some people will imitate for you. But if you put yourself around great people, you'll go far in life. Truly will. And I've been on both sides of that spectrum. You know, I've had some friends that I thought were really good friends, and turned out they weren't all that good friends, and honestly, they weren't that good people. And then I've also limited myself to the amount of people that I'm around. I think sometimes we get hung up on um, how many friends we have. My philosophy is I'd rather have fewer good friends than have a bunch of bad friends. So that's another thing that I really like to point out to younger people, is that you have to be really careful who you choose as friends. Yeah, Brian, collaboration is always a good way. Even even though I don't feel like Brian and I have officially collaborated, there have been collaboration efforts involved. Most more so on his side. He promotes me. I'll full honesty. He promotes me a lot more than I promote his channel. That's going to change because I think if he's going to promote me the way he does, I should do just as much, if not more. It's just the only way to do it right. But I think I've truly grown with this channel because of Mike, and I've done well with that, and I've also gained a lot of followers such as yourself from his channel. So I certainly have to give back to Mike. But I would certainly like to actually collaborate. I would love to have like a one-on-one interview with him, or even you, Brian. I would love it. I think it would be a lot of fun if Brian, if you and I collaborated live somehow. I don't know how we could work out the technology, but if we did that, not only would it help one of us, but it would help both of us. You know, that's the whole point, is to build each other up as a unit, not to take anything from anybody, but to build upon and help them. I think that's important. Yeah, Mark, I appreciate any help. I really do. Any of y'all are all just equally great to me. Uh, and I've noticed that I've got a particular group that's always there. Here's y'all are that group. Um, you know, you may not feel this way, but you're truly appreciated. You know, this channel is going nowhere without y'all, and y'all are always there, um, chiming in. You know, on these live streams and stuff. And I'm certainly open to constructive criticism. You know, what do y'all think I should change? What would y'all like to see? Now, these live streams where I'm just sitting here in front of the camera talking to you, those are fun because it gives me an opportunity to kind of get to know y'all. And I love reading the comments because I look at the comments, I read the comments as if I'm in a conversation with you in front of me. And I get to learn a little bit about each and every one of you. But at some point, too, I like, and this will always be, I think just simple communication is great. But I'm also going to do more scheduled live streams in the future where there'll be an actual topic. We'll talk about the, four forces of flight, or uh, why an airplane goes to the left when you apply full power. Have you noticed that, Mark? Have you ever thought about that? When you throttle up that Cessna 172, it wants to take off to the left, and that's called P factor. And there's a reason behind that. And it's all about the propeller and the way it bites into the air, and that initial thrust. So we'll talk about more specific things like that. You know, why what's the difference between a model rocket and a mid or high powered rocket motor? We'll sit them down here in front of you and we'll talk about them. You know, how do you calculate Mach speed? You know, Mach speed is interesting because it varies. So, give you an example. If you're traveling 60 miles an hour in a car, you're traveling 60 miles per every hour you drive. Now, when you get in the air, you've got two different types of airspeeds. You've got your true airspeed. Well, actually, you got three different airspeeds. You got true airspeed, indicated airspeed, and ground speed. Ground speed is just like you would in your car. It's a direct measurement of how far you're traveling along the ground. True airspeed and indicated airspeed, it gets more complex. It gets into the instrumentation of, just because you indicate 60 miles an hour in an airplane does not mean you're traveling 60 miles an hour because you have relative wind. You might have a tailwind, stuff like that. So it's, we could break out into conversations about all kinds of things, stuff, such stuff like that. All right, Mark. Thanks for stopping in, man. I appreciate you. Have a good dinner and good night. Be safe. We'll see you next time. Always a pleasure. So, Brady, the Air Cadets. First of all, hello. Good to see you here. Thanks for joining in. Air Cadets. Um, are you in the United States? I'm gonna have to start keeping notes on all y'all. Brian, uh, excuse me, Mike is really well at remembering people where they're from. I can now I look at the names and I have it in my head like I remember. But okay, so you're also in the United Kingdom. Okay, Air Cadets. Is that something similar? Is that a civilian organization? Is that similar to the Civil Air Patrol like we have here in the United States? A very American name. Hey, there's nothing wrong with that. Okay, so civilian. So it's probably like the Civil Air Patrol just in the UK. Uh, if it is, um, man, certainly do it. The Civil Air Patrol changed my life when I was younger. Now, I was never a bad kid, and I never got into a lot of trouble or anything like that. But what I was very shy, and I lacked motivation. If I wanted to do something, I just sat and didn't do a whole lot. Like I was just waiting for someone to offer it to me or something of that nature. And speaking to people that I didn't know was very difficult for me. Um, I also had no idea what leadership was. And CAP changed all that for me. So now I'm able to speak in front of people. I enjoy speaking in front of people. Um, and build so much self confidence. I'm not shy anymore. Uh, there might be people that wish I were, but more than anything, I learned about what true leadership is. And leadership to me is not a boss. Um, I like to look at two different areas. So a boss and a leader are two completely different things. Um, a boss is someone who is more interested in their goals, more interested in their time, and what is going to benefit them. They want you to do the work, but they want you to do the work that's going to help them, not so much help you. A leader is one who puts their team and their employees before themselves. They're not interested in how they're going to benefit from anything. They're only interested in making sure that their people succeed, even if it means their people will one day be their boss. That's key. My job as a leader in my professional career is not to make sure that Tony is well paid or um, everyone looks down on him and he's popular or anything of that nature. Tony's job at work is to make sure that people who work on my team are successful, even when it means I may have to do something that's not very fun or even taken away from my own success because my success is in the success of others. That's how I see that. So leadership to me is very important, and I think that even I do believe that not leaders are not born. They're certainly not, but anyone has the ability to become a leader. But you have to understand the primary basis of being a leader. You have to be, and I really try to live every day by a certain core values. Um, the first thing is integrity. You have to do the right thing all the time. It doesn't matter if someone's watching you or they're not. You make the right choice all the time, and especially when other people are involved. Now, being a leader and not a boss, sometimes making those decisions might hurt you. It may hold you back, it may hinder your future, it may cost you in some way. That's what leaders do. We sacrifice for the ones who work for us or work with us. I don't like to say work for, but work with. There is no I in team. Teams work together. So integrity is really important. It is extremely important. The next thing is respect. You must respect others, whether they respect you or not. I have a rule about respect. I give everyone 100% respect until they give me a reason not to. I don't go in the door saying, well, I'll respect you when you earn it. Now, you earn it first day on the job. Now, whether you want to keep my respect is up to you. And that's never failed me, never failed me at all. Um, the third thing is excellence. You may not feel good every single day that you go to work. However, do your absolute best. You don't have to give 150% all the time. But if you give 75% on that day and that was the best you could do, to me that's just as good as giving me 100%. You did your absolute best. And that's how I measure performance on my team is did they do the very best they could because I know that this person might have had a migraine headache, but instead of going home, they stayed with it. They stayed at work and they gave me everything they had that day. That's all I care about. I care about that you at least gave me your best shot. Um, and that's going to vary from person to person and from day to day. And then I think the fourth thing, which is also very critical, all these are very critical, but you have to serve others before you serve yourself. Um, if I'm taking care of Tony first, then I'm not a leader. I'm a boss. You have to take care of others before you take care of yourself. So to sum it up, um, that's leadership 101. And I learned that starting with the Civil Air Patrol, and it really came to fruition working at Delta Airlines. So got some wind, huh, Brady? Yeah, collaboration's a great thing. Um, I would love to collaborate with any of you. Uh, we'll just have to work out the details and figure out how to do it. May have to teach me a little bit about technology. Your trampoline is flying. Wow. Well, that's hopefully you're okay. That sounds. I've never had a trampoline, but I know there is some mass to them. So if you have a trampoline that's leaving the ground, that's some pretty significant wind. Are you near the coast? Are you like on a coastal area, Brady? Because I know here in on the Georgia coast, the wind is always much higher than even here where I'm at on the mountain. Wow, maybe you should. Is this something maybe you should take cover? Oh wow. Okay, so kind of in between, but very windy. Yeah. Well, I hope you're okay. Um, that's a little concerning. Weather is an interesting science, and for those of you who are becoming pots, such as Mock or any that plan to in the future, you'll get a good taste of weather, both in study and in reality when you're often flying and storms come up. But I have a true passion for weather as well. I really like weather, and I live in an area that the weather is constantly changing and is in some ways unpredictable. So so it was strapped to the ground and it still went flying off. Wow, that's scary. So if I had to imagine the physics of a trampoline flying off in the wind, I'm going to say that you probably got 30 to 40 knot gust. That's a pretty significant wind. So I hope you're okay. And if you need to go, by all means, I certainly understand. Please be safe. I'd rather you be safe than sit here listening to me. Well, Brian, the interesting thing about Mars is, the atmosphere is completely different. So I don't think I've ever seen a photograph where Mars has clouds or anything. So the atmosphere is very dry, and of course it's for the I won't say completely carbon dioxide, but for the most part is carbon dioxide. So it's a pretty dry and barren place. There are ice caps at the poles, both north and south poles, which indicate there's probably the presence of water. But I don't know if that's been confirmed yet or not. But the weather there, I think, is pretty much just clear all the time. There's not a whole lot going on there weather-wise. Now, once we get there and we start changing things and introducing more things into the atmosphere and whatnot, who knows? We may alter that weather just like we've altered ours here too. Yeah, definitely sandy. Yeah, definitely. I think the soil everywhere on Mars is a sandy kind of texture. Yeah, the airports, Brady, at that point will probably close temporarily until the front or whatever's creating the wind passes. Flying sideways. So, Brady, I'm going to ask you this because I don't know if you've mentioned it or if I've even asked yet. I know Mock is a student pilot. Are you a student pilot? Is that something that you're pursuing or want to pursue? We'll put a big net and catch you, Brady, when you fly over. I think I've got a little bit of a delay here getting y'all's messages, but okay. So you would like to fly for British Airways or an American airline? Okay, great. So you'd like to be a commercial, or actually, you would like to be an airline transport pilot. So that is the highest level of pilot certificates. Um, there's quite a bit of expense in that, but I think it's worth it. If I never had a dream of being an airline pilot, I wanted to be a military pilot. Quite frankly, my story was I went to the movie theater one time and saw a movie called Top Gun as a kid, and when I left the movie theater, I was really a big fan of the F-14 Tomcat, and I wanted to be a Navy aviator. And so after that, I was already getting close to starting to fly, and began flying lessons and whatnot, and did all through that. And I later became diabetic, and so that did not tell me I couldn't fly, but I could not fly for the military. So After that, those dreams were over, and that's when I also got more heavily involved in Civil Air Patrol, because Civil Air Patrol was as close to the military as I'd ever get, and I truly enjoyed the environment, so to speak. I enjoyed the discipline. I enjoyed the camaraderie. I enjoyed everything about being in uniform, and so that's why I stayed with it over the years, and I certainly benefited in many ways. But after you get a private pilot's license, and you'll want to get your instrument rating and your commercial rating, and there's a little bit of theory behind which one of those you want to get first. I don't have either, by the way. Um, but some people, uh, I think most people get their instrument rating, and then they get their commercial rating, and then in the process of all that, they're also building time. And a lot of my airline friends built time by becoming a certified flight instructor. And so they use that as a tool to build flight time. And then as they're building time, they work towards getting their multi engine rating. And then once they get that, then they just have to build the minimum 1,500 hours to become an ATP. And then they get their airline transport pilot certificate. Now, today, there's many ways you can do that. You can do it on your own, or you can do it in a school. You can go to ATP, which is a fantastic school from what I hear, and you can start at the bottom as a student pilot and go all the way up. And when you graduate, you have an ATP. I think you can also do the same thing at Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University, and they have two campuses here in the United States. One is in Florida, and one is in Arizona, and that is a fabulous school. Very high regarded aeronautical university. But that's your pathway to becoming an airline pilot. And then at that point, you just got to find your way into the seat. Yeah, there. To when I was learning to fly, and not just during that time, but when I was young, you didn't see a whole lot of female pilots, Brady. And today, you certainly see more. I remember Delta. There was no mechanics at Delta where I worked that were female for several years, and now I think it's more common, and that's great. Again, diversity is key to success. Um, Now you see women crews, entirely crewed aircraft, all women. I think that's fabulous. You see women coming up in the rank. You see women fighter pilots in the Americas now. That's great. I think it's certainly expanding to a lot of different areas. Female pilots, are they bad as people say? Here's my opinion of female pilots. I have flown with two women pilots um, that I know personally, and I honestly will say they are the best pilots I've ever flown with. Um, Truly talented, skillful women that are absolutely amazing pilots. So when I look at a when I look at pilots, I really don't think you can say men are better than women or women are better than men. I think it's really a flat line. I think they have their strong point. I think women maybe are a little bit better at doing some things. I think they're probably better at multitasking, um, maybe like cockpit resource management type stuff. The men are maybe better with stress in high stressful environments, stuff like that. But I don't know. Uh, that's just my opinion. But I think they're equally qualified, equally great at what they do. So I have nothing to complain about when it comes to women in aviation. Oh, an A330. Nice. I would love to see some of those. I've seen a couple people building aircraft out of cardstock and stuff, and I don't know if I would be able to do it, uh, but I'd like to try. But some of the ones that I've seen are truly amazing. From a distance, you can't even tell it's paper. It's absolutely amazing what people do. So great stuff. Oh, so you're going to put retractable landing gear on it too? Wow, that is amazing. All right, so now we got two trampolines on radar circling over the UK. Brian, take cover. There's going to be trampolines falling on your house here soon. Wow. Well, please be careful. Yeah, I think so too. Again, back to the diverse environment. I think male pilots truly appreciate what female pilots are capable of, and I think it's the same goes the other way. I think female pilots have always been accepting and appreciative of what men pilots are capable of. When you see women pilots, it's not something new. It's just something that's taken time to come around uh, to be embraced. Amelia Earhart, and we've had so many great women in aviation over the years, and Amelia is just one. There's several. Um, so why not? Yeah, why not? We welcome them into these roles. There's great women mechanics. There's great women pilots. There's great, you know, there's women in all these great positions in aerospace. And so they're truly remarkable, and I think it's great. I really do. Wow. So Brady, I'm getting a little worried about you, my friend. That sounds really bad. So a neighbor's house, the roof has come off. So just their attic. Wow, it's never it's never pleasant to see someone suffer by losing property. Um, their house being damaged like that. That can get really expensive and unfortunate. I hope they're okay. Yeah, that's good thinking, Brady. Always be on the bottom floor and hopefully away from windows. Um, you want to stay away from windows. You don't have a basement. Yeah, I don't have a basement either. I know basements are quite popular in America. You're right. I've had a basement in a previous house, but in the home I live in now, I do not have a basement. But I wish I did. Basements are nice. Well, if you need to go, I certainly understand it because I'm probably going to end this here shortly. Um, it's 7:39 here, and I'm getting really hungry. I have not eaten at all today, and I've been before this. I did a lot of yard work today. So anyway, are you refer now? This was let's see, Amelia Earhart Brand or was attempting to circle navigate the Earth prior to World War II. This was before the war started, but her and her um, navigator, so she was not by herself, but um, she got as far as near somewhere near Howland Island in the Pacific and went missing. And that's been on YouTube a lot here lately. About they think they may have finally determined what happened to her. It is 12:38 a.m. there. Wow. Yeah, you and Brian are troopers. I don't know why y'all put up with me doing streams this late, so late for y'all. I'm so sorry. Well, I'll tell you what, folks. We'll end it. Brady, I hope you're safe. I hope that I didn't. I wasn't thinking about it being dark there. That makes weather even more concerning, is when you can't really see what's going on around you. So I hope that you're safe and you're going to be fine um, through the night. I certainly will say a prayer for you, my friend. And Brian, thank you as always. It's always fun to do this. Have a great time with y'all. But I'm gonna get off here and go get some dinner, and then my night will probably be coming to an end here soon. Be time for bed shortly and whatnot. I more than likely will not be going live tomorrow due to the Easter holiday. I will probably be laying low and spending time with family. But I'm still working on the six pack of aviation video about the six primary flight instruments. I hope to get that done very soon. The videos are taking a lot longer than I like. But the last one I sped up and I kind of rushed it, and I really didn't like the way it turned out. So I think if I slow down, I'm going to be able to contribute a better video, better experience. So I'm gonna slow down a little bit and try to do the right thing. Integrity, do the right thing, and get y'all some good videos. So anyway, thanks for all y'all do. I appreciate y'all stopping in and whatnot. And y'all be safe tonight, especially where you're at having this bad weather. It looks like both of y'all could potentially be dealing with bad weather. So y'all have a good night. Anyway, yeah, y'all take care. And we'll do this again soon. So I'll try to live stream again no later than maybe Tuesday. Check back here when they'll, and hopefully everything goes good in the UK. So kudos to y'all. Peace be with you, as Mike would say. I got to come up with my own saying besides copying Mike's. But anyway, but I appreciate y'all. Thanks for joining in. CB, Brian, Brady, Mock, if you're still with me. I'm not sure who's still who's here, but let's see if I can find out here. So I think I just named all of you. So CB, Brian, Brady, thank you so much for joining in. We're gonna have more fun with this as we go, and hopefully eventually I'll get used to this technology and my equipment, and be able to do more from this laptop, and have more of an interactive presence here, and have fun doing it. So y'all be safe. Have a good night. What's the saying? Y'all know yet? Y'all know the thing behind my saying? The gear down, three green. Just in case you don't. So in the cockpit, when you lower the gear down, you have three green lights that come on to indicate that all three landing gear are down. So that's kind of like my coming to a close statement. So anyway, the gear's down, three green. We'll see y'all next time. Y'all take care. Good to see y'all.